Welcome to Texas Untold, a history podcast where we dig deep into the stories and legends that shaped the Lone Star State. I'm your host, Jeremy Farley, and today we're asking a question that sits somewhere between history and mystery. Did the Vikings, yes, those Vikings, did they ever make their way to Texas? It might sound like something ripped straight out of a novel or some conspiracy forum, but over the years, this idea has popped up in academic circles, even in archaeological theories and native oral traditions. Could Norse explorers, known to have reached North America centuries before Columbus, have ventured as far south as the Texas coast? Let's explore the history, the evidence, the speculation, and ultimately, the truth. It sounds outlandish at first, like something from a historical fantasy novel, but the theory has surfaced time and time again, from alleged Norse runestones to native legends and long-forgotten relics. Some folks have argued that Vikings might have wandered far past the forests of Newfoundland and ended up right here in the Lone Star State. So let's weigh the evidence, entertain the possibilities, and see where the facts end and folklore begins. All right, part one. First off, let's start with what we do know. We do know that the Vikings, particularly the Norse explorers, did make it to North America around the year 1000 AD. Leif Erikson landed at a site called Vinland, which modern scholars generally agree was in what is now Newfoundland, Canada. And here's the kicker. We have actual physical proof. Archaeologists have excavated a Norse settlement in Newfoundland, a real Viking site on North American soil. So the question isn't whether they crossed the Atlantic, they absolutely did. The question then becomes, how far inland did they come? Viking ships were sturdy, they were fast, and they were built for both ocean and river travel. So could they have followed the eastern seaboard all the way down into the Gulf of Mexico? In theory, yes. The Gulf currents might have aided them, and they had tools to navigate the coastlines. However, the farther south they went, the less evidence we have. No confirmed Viking settlements have ever been found outside of Newfoundland, but that hasn't stopped the theories. There have been claims over the years that Viking artifacts found in North America include the infamous Kensington runestones in Minnesota and the Heavener runestones in Oklahoma. Some even point to markings and stone inscriptions discovered in parts of Texas. The problem, though, is that most of these findings have been discredited or heavily disputed by historians and archaeologists. The inscriptions often turn out to be natural weathering, misinterpretations, or even outright hoaxes. Still, they keep the mystery alive. Now, one of the more fascinating things whenever it comes to whether or not Vikings indeed made it as far inland as Texas is the Native American tribes, particularly in the northern and central regions. They have oral traditions that mention pale-skinned visitors arriving by the sea. These stories are fascinating and they deserve some respect. But oral traditions evolve over time and can blend events, peoples, and symbols. Could some of these stories be echoes of Viking contact? Possibly, but there's no concrete way to prove it. So why does this idea of Vikings in Texas persist? Part of it is the sheer romance of the idea. Texas is big, it's bold, and it's full of surprises. The thought of Viking longships navigating the bayous or Gulf waters fits right into the spirit of this place. And let's be honest, people love a mystery. When the historical records leaves gaps, imagination tends to fill them in. So did the Vikings ever set foot in Texas? As much as I'd love to say yes, just to be honest with you, the evidence isn't there. They made it to North America, no question about that. But so far, no runestones, no longhouses, or buried helmets have turned up in the Lone Star State. Still, exploring the question reminds us just how vast and connected the world may have been long before highways and satellites, long before the internet. It's a great reminder to keep asking questions and to recognize that history, sometimes as we know it, is constantly changing. Just stay curious and to always leave a little room for wonder. Thanks for joining me on this historical voyage. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you subscribe and leave a review and share it with fellow history lovers. Until next time, take care and keep exploring the untold stories of Texas.